Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. Please excuse my sweaty forehead. I just had a drum session. So this video was originally going to be a weekly wrap-up, but I realized that the only book that I read the past week was Rhythm of War, which I completed. Yay me, it's a 1,200-page book, and I loved it, of course. It's the fourth book in the Stormlight Archive. I gave it 5 stars, terrific book. But, like I said, that's the only book I read this week, so there's no real point in doing a weekly wrap-up if I'm only going to be talking about one book. So for this video, I think I'm going to go over the books that I plan on reading in April. So now this is going to be my April TBR video. So for my TBR, I have a list of 12 books, which for me, it's doable, but it's also pretty ambitious. The way I set up my TBR is that I have books that I know that I'm going to read and that I'm going to want to read, and then I have a set of books that if I get to them, great. If I don't get to them, fine. And if I start reading them and I'm not enjoying them, I'm not afraid at all to just put them down and just move on. And I'm reading a wide variety of genres this month. So what I think I'll do is I'll go over the books in the different genres that I'm going to read. So probably the chunkiest genre that I'll be reading this month is Sci-Fi Fantasy. I have 4 books, and they're the longest books on my TBR. The first fantasy book that I know I'm going to want to read next month is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. It's the 3rd book in the Poppy War series, but that's dependent on me finishing the 2nd book, The Dragon Republic, in March. I still have, a little over a week to do it, so I think I'll be able to do it. And then probably once I finish it, I'm going to want to jump right into the conclusion. And the one sci-fi book I want to read this month is Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and it's the sequel to Children of Time, which I very much enjoyed. I've heard mixed things about this. I hear nothing but good things about Children of Time, but this book, people seem to enjoy it, but not nearly as much as the first one, so I'm pretty curious. I also want to reread Sword of Destiny, which is the 2nd short story collection in the Witcher series. And of course, that's dependent on me also rereading The Last Wish this month, which it's very short, and I should be able to get through it. And again, this is looking a little too ambitious, but I also want to get to Age of War, which is the 3rd book in Michael J. Sullivan's Legend of First Empire series. And this is also dependent on me finishing Age of Swords this month, which I've already started, so I'm a bit ways into it. I gotta say, this book isn't quite doing it for me like Age of Myth, the 1st book, did. I'm sure it'll pick up soon, but so far, it's had a great start, but it's not as good. I'm also going to be reading a few horror books, and probably the one that I'm most excited about is Imaginary Friend. Pretty much the main reason I picked this book up is because one of my favorite booktubers, Jessie May, said it's her favorite book of all time. And I love her channel, and we pretty much generally have similar opinions on books, and this is a very hated book. A lot of people do not like this book, but I have high hopes. Another book that I'm interested in is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I've actually started. I started it, I think, a month or 2 ago, and it was good, but I just wasn't in the mood for a campy horror book, but I think I'm in the mood for it now. And then the last kind of horror book is The Anomaly, which the only thing I know from this book is the blurb on the back, or not a blurb, but the summary. if Indiana Jones lived in the X-Files era. That's pretty intriguing. I've also got a few mystery thriller types of books. The first one would be another Agatha Christie book, Death on the Nile, which is this is one of her most famous books. It obviously takes place in Egypt. Usually Agatha Christie, I enjoy her works, especially her Hercule Poirot books, and this is one of them, so I think I'm going to like it. Another mystery I plan on getting to is The Truth About Melody Brown, which is a Lisa Jewell book, a top 10 author for me, so I have very high hopes for this book. So far, I've read 6 of her books, and they've all been 5 stars, so will this be another 5-star read? Will this be the first Lisa Jewell book that I don't like? Who knows? And probably the book that I'm most excited about, because the premise to this just sounds amazing, is The Chain. It's about, how do I explain it? I know this is for next month, but I've already started like the first few chapters just to like get a feel for the book, and I'm very excited. It starts out with this girl being kidnapped, and her mom gets a call basically saying like, look, we've kidnapped your kid. Now you have to go kidnap a kid in the next, I think, 24 hours or we're going to kill your daughter. And because it's called The Chain, it's implied that this has been going on for a long time. And I'm very intrigued to see how the mom gets out of this or what she's going to have to do to get her daughter back. Because, like, what the hell? And the next 2 books I want to read, or the last 2 books, I should say, I would safely categorize as fiction, maybe literary fiction. One of them is Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman by Haruki Murakami. Focus. Haruki Murakami is one of my all-time favorite authors, and this is one of his short story collections. And the last book I want to get to, which I'm very excited about, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I just read one of her books that I just absolutely loved, Daisy Jones and the Six. One of my all-time favorite books now, so I don't anticipate this one being an all-time favorite because Daisy Jones, I think, was just a book written for someone like me who loves classic rock. I doubt this has anything to do with that, but who knows? It could be very good, and she could become potentially a new favorite author for me. So again, I am excited for all of these books, but realistically, I probably won't get to every single one of them. I'm going to try to, but we'll see. A lot of them are on the shorter side, so maybe, I mean, in March, a large chunk of what I was reading was Rhythm of War, and I was like, oh man, this is taking me forever to read, but that's like 3 books in one. So maybe like if I can read Rhythm of War, I can, you know, read a bunch of these books super quickly. And I do like how I chose different genres this time. I feel like a lot of what I'm reading this month is fantasy, and I do plan on reading fantasy in April, but I've also thrown in horror, thriller, mystery, literary, just a whole bunch, and a sci-fi, whole bunch of stuff. Now I just want to know, have you guys read any of these books? What did you think of them? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you kind of meh about them? Let me know down in let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a terrific day.